Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the brand new North American exclusive Power Rangers collab, which is coming to us on Monday. So this is actually going to be the second North American exclusive collab and is a significant improvement compared to the very disappointing Voltron collab. What makes this event exciting is that all the cards have weapon assist evolutions, which means they do provide an additional layer of utility or value for your monster box, along with the event being 6 or 7 star bases. That also means they have higher weighted stats, and the 7-star cards, their evolved forms, have around 1500 weighted stats, and that's quite a sizable amount. Like, they're providing large amounts of health, attack, and recovery, and that can be quite valuable. Furthermore, many of the 6-star cards actually have quite strong value because they offer us weapon assists that have awakenings that are normally locked or tied behind much higher rarity seasonal or collab cards. For example, we can get Cloud Resist, Full Bind Immunity, Double Evo Killer, and 50% awakenings from the lowest rarity in this event. And that can be meaningful because many of those awakenings are not necessarily available for the average player, and basically rolling here and getting those as your collateral benefits can definitely help propel your monster box forward. Of course, they may not necessarily keep fully abreast with the higher rarity equivalents, but you have to remember, this came from the bottom rarity. So just think of it this way. Monster Hunter has those sexy 60% resists. Power Rangers have things like Cloud, Full Bind Immunity, Double Evo Killer, 50% awakenings as their bottom rarity cards. And that's something you have to kind of wrap your head around and why this is valuable. With that being said, this is going to be a 10 Magic Stone event. It's going to be much more costly to roll, and they will have the highest monster exchange rates possible. Furthermore, there are no Voice Awakenings, no Orb Skin, no animation, and no IAP bundles, which seems a little unusual because I thought those are relatively the norm in higher end rare machine collabs, but again, things can be different. And then one last possible drawback is it may not return. Like, Voltron never returned, so I guess based on the success of this event and how much players actually roll will probably determine whether or not it returns on a regular basis in order to receive future buffs, etc. But regardless of all that, this event is still quite well evenly stacked, and the fact that it is a debut or brand new event means players are able to actually roll a few times, most likely avoid duplicates, and fill in spots in their monster box that they could not actually replicate anywhere else, and that is definitely important. Just be aware that this image shows only the base forms, not the weapon assists or evolved forms, and Green Ranger's many evolutions are all underneath his own section. Furthermore, you should use these rankings as a starting point, not absolute truths. These are my opinions, and of course my opinions and motivations for playing this game can definitely vary from yours. All these cards have the ability to be limit broken except for weapon assist. The monster exchange will be quite expensive, and for myself, my approach to collab rolling is finding value at the bottom rarity, and that is here. And with that in mind, I do plan to actually roll here. So, the first Mighty Morphin character is the Red Ranger, and their base form is not really where you want to look at. In all honesty, you just should be scrolling down because 4 different killers is cool. Double 7 combo, Double Devil Killer, VDP is so much cooler. Basically, the evolved form of Red Ranger is able to completely delete devils. He just hates them with such a passion. He can use Devil Killer Latents, he has Double 7 combo, and the VDP. Like, it's just going to do so much damage. And the thing is, nothing is really going to keep abreast with that, at least on the North American side at this point in time. And the fact that he has the Void Damage Penetration means he could single-handedly pierce through gargantuan spawns with the Void mechanic, and that definitely can ease some team building or damage requirements. With that being said, Fire kind of lacks an ideal leader to truly take advantage of them with. Like, future Rao from Fist of the North Star should hopefully come at some point and have that built-in follow-up damage, but at this point in time, we don't have something anywhere that we can truly take advantage, because we could use something like Halloween Madhu for sure, but the thing is, like, her leadership has some drawbacks. Her base active skill is a little lackluster. 2 cards are primary dark as opposed to primary fire. It's just a little bit of drawbacks. And their own leader skill potential, in my opinion, is reasonably strong still, but it does have some drawbacks. They provide 2.25 times health and RCV and 324 times attack. These are solid multipliers, but the main issue is you need to match 4 or more colors at the same time. So this nearly full rainbow reliancy does have activation inconsistencies, It makes it harder to use orb changers. It can be difficult to get enough orbs for VDP. I know you can use actives that just ignore void mechanics, but those are rare. And in all honesty, using a VDP tends to be a more efficient way to do it because any orb changer works. You're not locked into one specific active skill. And I'm not impressed with how Rainbow leaders are performing at this point in time, but that can definitely change in the future. On the other hand, their weapon assist provides 60% poison resist and a giant time extend. So this is a similar cooldown to Raytheon, but it provides a different type of active skill. And voiding attribute absorb for 2 turns is quite situational, but at the same time, if you run a mono light or mono dark team, and you come up against the puppeteers in Alt Arena 2, you need to have some way of dealing with them. And being able to ignore their 5 turns of dark and light absorb means you can blast right through them immediately. You don't have to stall, you don't have to dance, you don't have to dedicate extra active skills. You can improve your clear times and lower the chance of actually dying. So this actually does have use for those types of teams. And again, 60% poison resist is nothing to scoff at. But with that being said, I would probably want to just keep them in their evolve form just because of how much devil killing potential they have. The next 7-star card is Megazord, and their active skill provides a full bind and awoken bind clear, and changing all orbs to fire, light, and heal. So this is definitely a useful active skill. Full bind clearing as well as a useful board changer does have merits on mono light and mono fire teams. Their awakenings are VDP oriented, and this does provide meaningful damage when you match that 3x3 box. But the biggest issue, in my opinion, is that light is already heavily saturated with powerful cards. Like, we have so many options for what we can actually use that it becomes a little bit problematic overall, because it's like, what do I want to bring? Is Megazord really going to keep up? In my opinion, he just doesn't quite. That being said, they do have some interesting leadership potential because they can pair with the Tifa who makes that 7x6 board. You'll gain more health compared to Dark Karen, and also hit harder, but at the same time, you'll be hitting less hard. Dark Karen hits harder by comparison. You just gain a bit more health, but you lose out on more RCB, which is probably negligible, but being able to hit less hard could have implications, and I feel that Tifa is just stronger Tifa with Dark Karen is stronger because you can activate off of either match 5 red or match 5 light, whereas with Megazord you only can proc off light, so it does result in less activation consistency, which is definitely a drawback. But with that being said, if you don't have Dark Karen or Tifa, you can definitely use Megazord in lieu of that. Megazord's evolved evolution, again, kind of follows that similar trend of a powerful light sub in a heavily saturated pool. And in fact, his current setup is very similar to Academy Amaterasu with the 10 combo follow-up attack and chance for VDP or 7 combo super awakenings. So again, it does provide meaningful amounts of personal damage. That base active skill is strong as well. But the thing is, when you're competing against things like Bradamante, Night, Halloween Cotton, Bridezilla, Yuna, New Year's Yomi, it can be difficult to squeeze in Megazord as a sub. It does definitely have a place in certain situations, but again, it's in probably the most highly saturated color for high-end subs. And in terms of their weapon assist, they provide 60% protection against jammers, along with a useful active skill, but unfortunately, this active skill does not provide that delicious board changer that we want with hearts. This provides 4 colors with no hearts, so it's significantly weaker by comparison. Furthermore, jammers tend to be the least dangerous mechanic, and if I were to drop a resist, I would drop jammers before poison and before blind, unless it's a very specific niche situation. Next is the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, and they have 4 distinct evolutions, and I'm going to talk about each of them, including the base form. So it's 5 evolutions technically in total. So their base form provides you with a tiny wood attack, HP falls to half, change top row to wood, bottom row to dark. It's not a bad card. You get triple, you have 3 50% awakenings with super awakening, so it does have 8 times personal damage, which is nice, but unfortunately you don't get the VDP alongside of it, so you can't have the piercing damage. If you get the VDP super awakening, you have significantly less consistent damage outside of the 3x3 box, so it's just not where we want to be, and in all honesty, their other forms are just vastly superior. So moving on to their evolved form, this is going to become one of the top tier wood leaders in the North American server because of how strong and easy to build their team is. So their active skill changes the leftmost column to wood orbs and then 2 times orb movement time for 1 turn on a short 5-turn cooldown. Their leader skill gives you 2.25 times health for water or wood cards and up to 225 times attack when you match 5 connected anything. You can match poisons, jammers, blind, bomb orbs, hearts, etc. You trigger that damage. So there is only a soft combo clause, but the idea is it's so easy to activate. Like 6 combos plus a match 5 is your full activation. That definitely can be meaningful, along with the fact that wood has some of the stronger subs available. Furthermore, their awakenings actually have great synergy for what their leader skill brings. They have double 7 combo and double VDP. That is very high personal damage for both regular matching and for the piercing damage alongside of these enhanced heal orbs. And while their health is only 2.25 times, that in conjunction with the damage reduction and the significant healing boost from both leaders means that they can actually replenish their health with relative ease. So they actually have quite high and reliable amounts of effective health. Furthermore, that damage reduction always triggers. It's almost impossible to not have a board with 5 of one type of orb to match. So it's going to be there all the time. Now, at this point in time, we have Zilla Kitty being the top wood option available, but there are some distinct differences. Most notably, Zilla Kitty tends to use Zillas as subs. And while this is definitely powerful and Zilla Kitty is strong, Green Ranger has significantly higher weighted stats, which means they will have much higher effective health. They also have damage reduction instead of just a flat health multiplier, which means they can survive the gravity or gravity plus hit combos. Like 100% gravities are not a problem. You can survive gravity plus hits. Again, things that Zilla Kitty can't do necessarily. Furthermore, like I said, Zilla Kitty and Zilla have nearly the same active skill. They both produce boards of wood and hearts on tremendously long cooldowns. So they are strong, but you don't have very nice active skill diversity. And by using Green Rangers, you have this short 5-turn cooldown that does make wood orbs so you can kill things, but it also provides a time buff to overwrite time debuffs because, amusingly enough, I feel like movement time is going to be the biggest drawback for this team because there is no natural time extend from your leaders. Zilla only has 1 time extend, so you might be hard pressed for movement time. And if you can figure out a way to puzzle yourself efficiently through there, this is definitely going to be a strong leader. Another thing to possibly keep in mind is you could pair Zilla Kitty with a Green Ranger, so you have some damage reduction, you have more RCV, you have a different type of board changer. You do lose out on some damage, but you gain built-in combo count and matching VDP, so you could take kind of the best of both worlds and do something quite nice with it. Their other evolution form is the White Ranger, and I feel it's the most underwhelming of the non-weapon assists they have because they are strong, but again, they're a strong light sub, and I've already mentioned this before, light is heavily saturated. So yes, they have triple VDP and attack while above 80%. This can result in very high amounts of personal damage, as well as their active skill being valuable because of the double orb changer that does not break hearts and locks light orbs while also removing hazards. This is definitely nice, but there are so many other strong options available, and this bonus damage, while always reliable on Tifa teams, may not necessarily hold true in the future when new light teams may emerge. But again, with that being said, I would probably not make this form unless you have absolutely no value or merit from their Evolved Wood form or their Evolved Dark form. Because their Evolved Dark form provides you with 100% defense break, situationally useful, but voids damage absorption for 1 turn. So that is a Fujin-style active skill built into a card with tremendously relevant awakenings. They have 777 combo, an L, and a VDP. This is huge amounts of damage output, and they're definitely an alternative to Akuma. And for Phenom plus Ina teams, this is actually a much stronger alternative because they pack in more damage overall. You don't need the follow-up attack that Akuma provides because Ina has that built in already, and they are on a slightly faster cooldown. It's 20 versus, I believe, 22 turns for Akuma. So it comes down to, like, what do you need more? Do you need a top-tier green leader? Do you have a team to take advantage of it? Or do you need an incredibly powerful dark sub? The decision of what you will make or pursue all depends on your monster box, and both options are strong under the right circumstances. Unfortunately, their weapon assists, or I guess thankfully to a certain extent, their weapon assists can't really keep up with how amazing everything else is already, because they already have so many different forms, it's very difficult to get all the cards you necessarily want to have because it's the same one over and over again. But their weapon assist provides you with 60% blind resist, which is tremendously powerful. Their active skill also is reasonable. You get an orb movement time buff to overwrite debuffs, but you also get 100% damage reduction for a single turn. It's a great panic button. It may not necessarily help you out in the long run, but if you can survive one turn without dying, that definitely can be meaningful. But again, it's the 60% blind resist that's appealing, but I would not pursue this weapon assist considering that they have such stronger other forms available. Next is the Ranger Slayer, and both their forms provide different amounts of value, and it all depends on the types of teams and compositions you have. Because in both forms actually, they change the leftmost column to fire and the rightmost column to dark on a 6-turn cooldown. That's quite nice, but at the same time, they also provide enhancement for fire and dark orbs. So now you have built-in damage burst with an orb changer that's relevant on a 6-turn cooldown. This is incredibly fast and efficient, and we don't have access to anything like this at this point in time either. Their awakenings have 16 times personal damage before super awakenings. I believe this is unprecedented at this point in time because when they throw in a 7 combo or a VDP super awakening, they just have outrageously high amounts of personal damage against all types of spawns. But of course, the main drawback is you have to be below 50% health, and that health juggling may or may not necessarily be the most feasible thing. Definitely has places on Dark Omega teams, but one thing I want to mention is that they do actually have strong leadership potential. These are very solid multipliers. Like, think of it this way. Zilla Kitty has 4 times health and recovery, but only 144 times attack. This is significantly more, but unfortunately you have to be below 80% attack. And when you have an unconditional 4 times RCV, it's going to be much harder to micromanage your health. Like, you can't keep your health low and heal up when you need to through enhanced Heart of Awakenings, and it's just an extra layer of juggling that may be a little problematic. With that being said, if you can find a way to overcome this or manage this efficiently, I can see this being a powerful leader. On the other hand, their Evolve form is also incredibly strong, but for different reasons. They change their color. They go from Fire Dark to Dark Fire, and same active skill. Their leader skill has nice amounts of damage reduction, but it's just, in my opinion, not consistent enough where we want to be because they're just stronger leaders out there. And I want to focus on their sub potential mostly because they have double 7 combo, a VDP, and a God Killer just from their base awakenings. This is pretty outrageous. Furthermore, they can gain another VDP or another 7 combo through Super Awakenings, and it makes them the hardest hitting God-killing piercing option available, which does have certain values in high-end content. Furthermore, their color coverage mirrors that of Hiei, which means they can be a viable alternative to what is essentially a staple card on Phenom and Ina teams. The reason why Hiei is such a popular choice on Phenom and Ina teams is because they have the fire sub-attribute, which means you can proc the bonus combo count from Phenom, and there are not many other dark fire cards that really excel because Hiei provides so much personal damage through 777 combo and VDP, along with a valuable 99 turn Skyfall dark buff. But Ranger Slayer has a much faster charging active skill, so you have access to it sooner. She also has basically 777 combo VDP and a natural God Killer. So Zeus Verse in those higher arenas can get pierced and penetrated through so much more easily now. Like, you have an amazing solution built in, along with the fact that they can use God Killer latents to further solidify how much damage they can deal. So I do have Hiei for myself, and if I were to roll the Ranger Slayer, I'd be highly tempted to make this evolution to try it out because they do have higher weighted stats. It's 1,000 less health, which is about 3,000 less health for the team, but you have 1,400 more attack, so again, your piercing is much more efficient, along with nearly 600 more RCV, which definitely can help out replenishing all your health. If we transition into their weapon assist, it does definitely seem underwhelming by comparison. Yes, you have an enhanced hard orb, so you can improve the healing output as well as an attack while below 50%, but I would not pursue this weapon assist because their other forms are just so much stronger. Like, this definitely can help if you have copious amounts of dupes, but I would not be motivated because, yes, you can improve damage output and the healing ability of those cards, but Sometimes resist may be more important. It all depends on the type of team compositions you use and how important is an additional extra damage. That being said, that extra damage can definitely be meaningful, but again, it's tied with such a powerful card in other forms. Lord Zedd is the final 7-star card in the Power Rangers collab, and his base form makes me think of Ranger Slayer, who we just talked about. They have strong god-killing potential, but less god-killing potential overall because they just have fewer offensive awakenings. The base form of Ranger Slayer had 4 offensive awakenings. Lord Zedd only has 3. Super awakenings are basically the same. So it's kind of weird that they have a card with nearly the same color and nearly the same niche in the same collab, in the same rarity. It's a little odd, but they do have some differences. Their active skill provides you full bind and awoken bind clear and 2 turns of attack for fire and dark cards on a relatively fast 8-turn cooldown. Not as fast as Ranger Slayer, but provides a different level of utility. With that being said, I would probably just pursue the Evolve form unless God Killing becomes truly relevant, because their Evolve form has the same active skill, better stats, but more universally damaging awakenings. This is effective against all types of spawns, not just gods, and amusingly enough, they're also dark with the fire sub-attributes. So again, they can be a Hiei replacement. I would probably lean more towards Ranger Slayer personally, because again, they just do more damage against gods, but at the same time, Emperor Zedd, assuming not gods, does more piercing damage total, but he does have only 4 times damage because he only gets double 7 combo with Super Awakenings, whereas Hiei and Ranger Slayer have triple 7 combo or 8 times personal damage, which can make a difference when playing through floors when you're not actually matching that 3x3 box. On the other hand, his leadership potential, in my opinion, is not as strong as we want it to be because it's only 43.75% damage reduction. There's no bonus health. Your effective health is quite low, and the 9 times RCV is high, but it's not going to do any good when your health is not up to par. Furthermore, you have to match dark and fire, so it's just more constrictive overall. Like, being able to it just means you have less options for board and orb changes as well. And finally, their weapon assist provides you with 20% in blind, jammer, and poison, but they have a much shorter charging active skill of only 9 turns compared to the higher value on the Trojan Horse. And the Trojan Horse is a farmable card with the same 20% resist. The TPA definitely can add some damage, but I would probably pick the Trojan Horse unless I want the on-color coverage and I'm missing the Yo weapon assist. Now we transition into the 6-star bases who have either a base form plus a weapon assist or one special card who only has a weapon assist. So the first is the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, and their base form is a generic mono dark sub. Like, it has damage output, double 7 combo. Like, it's nothing special, it's nothing amazing. It's just kind of there. Their active skill gives you a 30% damage reduction for 3 turns, and then spawning 4 dark orbs randomly. It's okay. Their leader skill would be a reasonable transition leader early on. They don't have any effective health, but they have high recovery, and they have pretty high damage output as well, and all you have to do is match combos, like several combos. It's not even that high of a value, so it would be a nice, great introductory starting leader. You definitely can clear through lots of content with this to start with, and you couldn't be too upset. Unfortunately, their weapon assist, while potentially strong, is coming out at the exact same time that the Halloween Pumpkin, which is farmable, has come out. So this weapon assist provides a relevant active skill for mono dark teams, but they have 4 enhanced dark orbs. So there is a tremendous increase in the passive damage across your entire team, which is definitely meaningful, especially when playing through higher level content like Alt Arena 3. But at the same time, the Halloween Pumpkin provides 2 enhanced dark orbs and double blind resist, which means 40% coverage against blinds, and a Jammer Skyfall active skill, which you do need anyways. So the Halloween Pumpkin is covering many more bases. Yes, there is less total damage output, but that is a relevant active skill for high levels arena. It has 40% blind resist, which is one of the most important resists to have, and it still has 2 enhanced dark orbs for damage. So even if I were to acquire this weapon assist, I would probably favor the Halloween Pumpkin, unless dungeons are requiring me to hit even harder, we don't need the Jammer Skyfall buff, or we have more ways to acquire resist so it frees up more active skill slots. Next is the Mighty Morphing Blue Ranger, and they have quite an interesting kit in their base form. So their active skill is a 40% heal and change the top row to water orbs on a 7-turn cooldown. So they can do some special things with that. But I want to explain their leader skill. So their leader skill is 2 times stats for all water cards, and then up to 144 times attack total when matching 6 connected water orbs. So 4 times health, 4 times recovery, reasonable damage multiplier. But their awakenings are Water Rose and a VDP, and the thing is, in theory, you can create a really weird system. In theory, 6 Mighty Morphin Blue Rangers on a team, so leader, all subs, friend leader, can have this active skill every single turn. It's a cool idea because when you think about it, you deal damage that should kill everything. You have 40% health healed every single turn. You could even match a hard orb if you want 4 times healing as well. And you have 4 times health. I can see some really interesting things being done this way. And of course, if you want to bring follow-up attack, you definitely could bring something that has follow-up attack and lots of skill boosts. So you can also definitely inherit other types of utility. But the point of the matter is, it's something that could possibly be done. Is it going to be relevant? I don't know, but it is pretty cool. Another thing you can do is pair of Beach Varroa. And while this is an inferior pairing, it gives players the chance to utilize Beach Varroa when they don't actually have her. Remember, Beach Varroa is a 9-star seasonal card, incredibly hard to roll. This card, by comparison, should be popping out on a much more regular basis, so you can tap into 4 times health, 216 times attack, 2 times RCV when matching 9 water orbs, and +3 combo count. Not too bad overall, along with a fast-charging active skill that makes a reasonable amount of water orbs. Their weapon assist provides a co-op boost awakening along with a stronger heal and top row to water orbs. For the most part, co-op boost awakening tends to really rely on obviously how much you play multiplayer and how much buttoning is of importance to you. Because what's often done is that this weapon assist or this type of weapon assist is inherited on top of cards with a strong base button skill with high natural attack. So something like Brachydios. So they're able to have an even higher amount of attack damage and they can deal more when you actually use their active skill. Next is the Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, and their active skill provides you 2 times RCV for 1 turn, change all orbs to fire, light, and heal. So pretty useful active skill, but the problem is their awakenings are just not really what we want them to be. 3 skill boosts are nice, but these awakenings don't synergize anywhere at this particular time. Yes, you can overwrite RCV debuffs, but in my opinion, most of their appeal will be tied behind their weapon assist. So their weapon assist provides you with cloud resist and an active skill that grants +1 combo and changes the whole board to fire and light. And this is important because this is a way for players to acquire cloud resist that may not necessarily be available otherwise. And this is important because current options for cloud resist weapon assists come from top rarity cards and seasonal or collabs. This is the bottom rarity card, so they should be much more easy to acquire by comparison. And furthermore, this active skill is actually quite powerful, and I feel like this weapon assist will have tremendous value in future ranking dungeons because clouds will be an issue, and bicolor boards are the best to solve. So having a 2-in-1 at the same time can definitely help possibly raise our scores. Next is the Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger. They have 5-turn bind and awoken bind, and changes fire to light and wood to heal, and they also come with 2 natural physical killers. They can get 7 combo natural awakening as well, and they have a 7 combo super awakening, and they have the highest non-VDP damage against physical types available at this point in time, and they can use physical killer latent. So you can just destroy physical spawns without the piercing aspect. So this definitely can have applications in certain situations. It's not the most popular killer, but again, this is a bottom rarity card. Furthermore, their active skill actually provides an interesting amount of value as well. So their active skill provides a full bind and awoken bind clear and changing fire to light and wood to heal. So you have this full bind clearing capability along with a relevant orb changer for mono light teams. Unfortunately, what I feel is kind of the drawback is that it only comes with a single resist, and the enhanced hard orb awakening, in my opinion, kind of goes to waste, mostly because Tifa is such a dominating force at this point in time for light leaders, and she already comes with more than enough RCV, so the additional healing may not necessarily be needed. So depending on what you need, like a nice powerful bind clearing active with a relevant orb changer or a physical killing sub, the Yellow Ranger does have value. Next is Ninjor, and their active skill prevents Skyfall combos for a single turn and changes all orbs to water, wood, and heal. So this is actually not a bad tri-elemental board changer, but unfortunately, they don't necessarily offer, well, they offer a reasonable leader skill as well, I should say. They have only 43.75% damage reduction and no other form of effective health or RCV, but they do have 256 times damage at only 6 combos, so this is definitely easy to do. But the main issue I can foresee is, well, you can't capitalize on Zeo because you must match water and wood orbs, so it's just a little bit less ideal overall. And their weapon assist at the same time may be something tremendously relevant for many players, because the thing is, it comes with the attack while below 50%, and that's one of those key awakenings that is not actually able to be found on lower rarity cards and events, so this might be the first time players actually acquire the minus 50% awakening via weapon assist, and that can have meaning and value. It's not as strong as Sagat's eye patch, but the active skill might be more useful as well by having a full board of water and wood plus 3 random hard orbs. But the point of the matter is you can add 2 times personal damage to any card that wants to be low health, and it's actually acquirable at the lowest rarity. Next is Zeo Megazord, and their active skill heals 30% health every turn for 2 turns, so it's on a 10-turn cooldown, so it's not enough to system like Kuro Yuri, but we just want to look at their awakenings. Their awakenings have triple healer killer, the only triple healer killer available in North America. They also have 3 skill boosts via super awakenings or a 7 combo, and in terms of like ranking dungeon or farming teams, this definitely can have great relevance and application, obviously against only healer spawns and assuming they don't actually have the void mechanic. On the other hand, their weapon assist is also going to be amazing for farming and or ranking dungeon situations. It is the only card that provides double evolution material killer, so that in itself is quite unique and exciting. 9 times personal damage against what is often a really strange and niche spawn is meaningful. You can blast your way through them in ranking dungeons. Of course, it obviously hinges on how often this type of spawn actually appears in future ranking dungeons, which hasn't occurred at least for some period of time, but again, anything can change. On the other hand, having triple water orb enhance can be possibly valuable along with a reasonable active skill alongside of this weapon assist. It definitely can have applications on mono water teams who are not concerned about certain resists being covered. And then the final card, and the only card to only come out as a weapon assist, is Zordon. And their active skill, like at first I thought this was a real card, and then I realized this is actually a weapon assist. So it's a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be. Their active skill provides a special orb changer of fire and dark and all hazards 2 water orbs. So you save hard orbs and flood the board of water. Amazing. And then you also have 3 times water attack for 2 turns. Wow. Pretty good active skill as well. But their awakenings through the weapon assist are full bind immunity and 4 water rows. So a massive amount of damage being added to any water team that utilizes rows, but it is the most acquirable card for a weapon assist for full bind immunity. Full bind immunity does not come at this rarity in other events, and this can make it meaningful because suddenly players who have cards who are strong, such as say Halloween Cotton or Yuna, who don't necessarily come with natural bind immunity, can make them bind immune and choose a different super awakening. This obviously has relevance, but of course this type of active skill and inherit is definitely best on mono water teams because you can take advantage of the on stat transfer and the water rows along with the useful active skill. So in conclusion, the Power Rangers card is actually quite a high value event. It's providing us with cards that we have no way to replicate on the North American server. Yes, this is a reskin of an older JP collab, but with a higher cost. But we do have stronger inflated weighted stats, and at the same time, it's providing cards we don't actually have. And you have to remember, the JP server and North American server are exclusive, so to speak. Like, just because they have certain toys doesn't mean we are necessarily going to get them. And the fact that we have these types of tools now to work with is meaningful. And even though it may be a 10 Magic Stone cost event, these are kits that we can't replicate elsewhere on the North American server, and I, for one, do plan to roll a reasonable amount because I will not be upset acquiring those 6 stars, and hopefully I get lucky in hitting the more lucrative and spicy 7 stars. Just remember, at the 6-star rarity, we can get Cloud, Full Bind Immunity, Double Evo Killer, or 50% at a rarity that is not precedented at this point in time thus far. With that being said, let me know what you think about the Power Rangers collab in the comments below and whether or not you plan on actually rolling, as well as who you hope to actually acquire. Hopefully you'll have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.